Welcome to Flourishing Flame, from burning out to burning bright with therapist and coach Leah Brown. Are you a people helper or caregiver, feeling overwhelmed, distant, cynical, and crispy around the edges? Join me to defeat burnout by learning how to manage stress and create deep connective relationships with others so that you can pursue your calling, providing light and warmth to those around you. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Flourishing Flame podcast. I'm your host, Leah Brown, and I have been really working through what we're talking about in this next section of episodes and have been excited and also a little bit feeling the pressure for myself to really take what we've been learning and move it into more of an action. So over the last several weeks, we've been talking about, or the last several episodes, however you're listening, you might be listening to it all in a day, but we've been talking about understanding ourselves better. Understanding ourselves and our personality and our experiences and our values, how our values are formed, how we can use our values to motivate ourselves. We've been looking at our capacity and understanding what is it that we can do. And now we're making a shift, a pivot to look at what are our priorities. Moving into this section of episodes has been personally challenging for me. I find that as a teacher, the more that I'm understanding something to share it with other people, the deeper I have to understand it for myself. And so it has been a personal challenge for me to take what I'm learning to share with you, but also apply it to my own life so that I am better with my prioritization, both in understanding what it looks like to have priorities and to really see what are the priorities I have. Because sometimes what we think of as our priorities really aren't. What we think are our priorities are what we'd like them to be, but are not really what they are. And so my encouragement to you as we go through these next few episodes is for you to really be willing to self-reflect on what are your priorities based on your actions. And then maybe secondarily based on your intentions, what is it that you want to be your priorities? So a lot of the resources and information is coming first off from the book First Things First by Stephen Covey, Roger Merrill, and Rebecca Merrill. And then I'm supplementing with some other things, but I will keep a list of the resources for you so that you can go back to look at them. And when we're looking at what is a priority, when you look it up in the dictionary, what is a priority? A priority is precedence, especially established by order of importance or urgency. It's also defined as an established right to precedence. And a third is an authoritative rating that establishes such precedence. When we're thinking about priorities, there's kind of two kinds of priorities that we're thinking about. We have people or relationship priorities, and then we have task priorities. As we're putting these pieces together, we're also looking at the order of importance, and we're also looking at the level of urgency. Stephen Covey talks about an activity matrix and how you can look at the things that you're doing and understand how to prioritize that. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in another episode. But as we're looking at those things that are of high priority, we can make that adjustment to looking at, am I doing the right things? And that's the question that we ask before we ask, am I doing things right? So before we get caught up in the details of how we're doing things, how we're prioritizing things, we need to look at, are we doing the right things to begin with? And so I'd just like to encourage you this next week or however long between listening to this episode and the next one, for you to think about what are the things that are important to you and what are your roles that are important to you. Because sometimes our priorities, our structure for our priorities come through the roles that we hold, and each role has a set of priorities. So just think about that as you are in this place. And we're going to be talking next time about people priorities versus task priorities. And we're going to be talking about the need to have priorities and what that does and what having priorities has to do with preventing burnout. Just a couple of things that pop up immediately are when we have priorities, it helps us to have margin. And when we can hit our priorities before they get to the last minute, that diminishes the urgency that we're feeling around those priorities. Turning down that urgency in turn can turn down some of our stress. So as we're looking at priorities and we're looking at how we can set ourselves up for our best success, both with our relationships, because we work with people. And so we have relationships with people as part of what we do in our work and at home. And as we're looking at tasks so that we can do the best thing next. I think I have a book by that title too. So I am excited to be in this journey with you as I am doing this research and looking at my own priorities and helping you to look at yours. So until next time, take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me today. If this episode added kindling to your flame, please leave a review and pass it on to a friend who could use some encouragement. You can connect with me and find additional resources at leahlittlebrown.com. Now go forth and burn in all your brilliance.